Hi, and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how I built and prepped my raised garden beds.
For this project, I'll be using pressure-treated lumber. In the past, gardeners have avoided pressure-treated lumber because of the harmful chemicals used during the treatment process. However, thanks to new regulations, pressure-treated lumber has become much safer. I purchased 2x6x12s and 2x6x8s at the local Home Depot and had them sawed in half while I was still at the store. This will make each raised bed 6 feet long by 4 feet wide. To make the boards, I first started by marking where I wanted my screws to go. I used this 2x2 because it's the approximate width of each board. Next, I screwed 3 screws into each board in the center of that marking. Then, I arranged the boards how I wanted them to fit, to make it easier to assemble. Then, taking care to make sure each board was flush, I screwed in the corners. Doing this on a hill made it a little difficult, but it turned out alright. Pro tip: if the ice cream man ever shows up during a project, that means it's time to take a break. After my break, I carried each bed to the backyard. I'd say each bed weighs about 35 pounds, and shouldn't be too difficult to manage for the average person. However, if you're shorter, the size might make it a little bit awkward to carry around. Always be sure to check the area for any hazards that might affect your garden or your house.
Forgot about this thing. It's a drain opening. If you can see that. And I can't cover that up or it's going to flood the basement.
Once I was sure I had cleared any obstructions, I measured how far away I was from the patio, and I also measured the aisles in between each bed, just to make it look square. I gave the center aisle 18 inches, because I have to have room for trellises. The long aisles are only 15 inches wide. Once I got the beds in place, it was time to loosen the soil. I used a garden fork to loosen the soil on my beds. This, along with filling the beds, was probably the most labor-intensive part of the project, and probably will be all year. An important note: once you've finished aerating the beds, don't ever step in your raised beds again. In my last video, I mentioned that I had healthy soil, and a couple of you asked me to elaborate on that point. Healthy soil should look like black cottage cheese, and mine sure does. I also had a little help from Roger. He's grown veggies on this plot before, and they've done really well.
This is what we know is going to be a good garden. Earthworms.
After I finished aerating, I laid cardboard over each of the beds. Cardboard will help prevent weed germination, and hopefully reduce the amount of labor needed to care for my garden for the rest of the year. Cardboard can be an excellent biodegradable solution to weeds in your garden. However, just be sure to remove any tape, labels, or staples before you put it there. Next, I filled in the beds with dirt dug around the border of each bed. Finally, it was time for a trip to the local hardware store, where I picked up peat moss, humus and manure, and compost. I added half a bag of peat moss, 1 full bag of humus and manure, and 1 full bag of compost to each bed.
After I added the soil amendments, I mixed it into the beds and spread it out evenly across the surface. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, I lost some video clips. But I think it's time to end the video anyway. Thanks for watching, and remember, every garden makes a difference.